It is Dynasty Christmas week, ladies and gentlemen. 2 more days until the NFL draft, and we're here to help you as much as we can not make any mistakes that are just going to ruin your Dynasty rookie draft.
Zero mistakes.
Give you some free resources, again, that you can just go get, no cost associated with it, so that you can take something from us and use it in your drafts as well. And then also really go into the topic that everybody's asked us to go more in depth into, how to trade your rookie picks, what strategy to use when trading rookie picks, what prices to accept and decline when trading rookie picks, all of that and more in this video. Drop a like for Dynasty Christmas, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure if you play Dynasty Fantasy Football, you're subscribed as well. We appreciate all you guys. In Dynasty rookie drafts, you've seen us make, really 3 iterations of this video now, and we pretty much say the same thing every year, and there are certain principles that we are going to continue to re-emphasize year after year, because those of you who are experienced Dynasty players need to hear it multiple times a year, because even experienced Dynasty players sometimes get caught playing with their feelings. And new Dynasty players, those of you guys who are new to the game, need to hear this maybe for the first or second time, because it is important not to make these mistakes, especially this one. In Dynasty rookie drafts, value is everything. It's everything. And, we talk about the levels of drafting for need versus drafting for value. In a redraft league, you are drafting a lot for your need. Value exists in a rookie draft, but you're drafting for what you need for your team, because you're drafting your fantasy football teams one time, and then if your league isn't active, you're not trading anymore. But even if you can trade, you drafting what you've got there. And so with the redraft league, you draft a lot for team need. With a Dynasty startup, you kind of drift more towards okay, there's some need, but you could draft a Dynasty startup entirely on value and make enough moves, because it's a Dynasty league where everybody's going to trade, that you don't necessarily have to draft for need. And a lot of people draft Dynasty drafts, never draft for need, always draft for value. We personally think that's smart, but at the end of the day, positional liquidity does come into play sometimes, because you're drafting your entire roster in a Dynasty startup. Sometimes you do have to consider, you do not want to draft 12 quarterbacks. You just don't. And, you do want to have some guys that are easy to sell, like wide receivers and running backs out of Dynasty startups. So there's a little bit of it's not necessarily need and more liquidity when you're talking about a startup. But when you're talking about a Dynasty rookie draft, when are you ever drafting for need? Only inside tiers, right? Because value is king in Dynasty rookie drafts. So you're never, ever going to prioritize team need over value. Again, we've already talked about this at length in a video once this year, but I'll mention it again. Taking Fernando Mendoza at the 102 because you need a quarterback is not the move. It's not. Fernando Mendoza for us pre-draft is 3 tiers down. So you've got 2 tiers of guys you need to go through before you're thinking about taking Mendoza, even if you need quarterback. Why? Because, again, you're only drafting one of your 25 roster spots in a Dynasty rookie draft. And at the end of the day, Dynasty rookie drafts can be the number one biggest contributor to replenishing your value on your overall roster when you're talking about rebuilds, reloads, or even aging value contending teams that need that little bit of boost of value or insulation. Drafting in a rookie draft, you always want to take value. Now, a lot of people will point towards hit rates in Dynasty rookie drafts and say, okay, you can draft for value as much as you want, but the hit rates are pretty random. It's about a 50-50 shot a lot of times that prospects are going to hit. So I'm just going to take my guy, and if my guy's at a different position, then the odds technically aren't any better. That's somewhat true. However, there are pretty obvious tear drops in a lot of these draft classes, including this one, whereas if you do have a guy like Jeremiah Love fall to the 102 because somebody takes a team need pick at the 101, you are actually getting a very large value in no matter who you want to take.
Yeah, plus also you just mentioned liquidity, positional liquidity. How about just asset liquidity in general?
100%.
If you end up taking a guy above where they're priced in a lot of Dynasty rookie drafts, you're going to be, again, reaching on that guy, taking a value loss, and the likelihood that you're going to be able to move off that player, say, before the season starts and continue to play the market and build small value wins is very, very low. So that's another reason that, again, even though you may not super duper believe in Carnell Tate at the 103 and you really, really want to take Fernando there, the move is going to be to take a Carnell Tate or whoever the wide receiver 2 is off the board at that point, as opposed to a quarterback in even a superflex league economy or superflex economy as a whole right now that's just not valuing quarterbacks super high.
Yeah, and the key to drafting based on values, knowing where your tier drop-offs are, because when you are within a tier, you can draft for team need technically, right? If you get to the 105 through 108 and you have a quarterback, a tight end, 2 wide receivers, and you need quarterback, you can take quarterback there because you are in a tier. At that point, the deciding factor, which we'll talk about in the flow chart that we're going to put up on the screen, the deciding factor is, of course, going to be positional need or production. That happens, but only within tiers. And so knowing where your tier drop-offs are in your Dynasty rookie drafts is maybe the most important thing. And every year we release this tool. Here's last year's tool. Of course, we're putting a big, fat, huge, ginormous L on the screen by putting Caleb Johnson in his own tier ahead of Emeka Ibuka. You know, we've owned it. It's going to happen this year. We're going to miss on guys. We miss on plenty of players. Everybody does. It's part of making content. It's part of having opinions. You just... If everybody batted 1,000, then there would be no use for people like us to sit around and yap about Dynasty all day because everybody just have it all figured out. We didn't have it figured out. But this is what it looked like last year regardless. I know it was bad. Trust me. I have Caleb Johnson on like 4 teams. And you can see on last year's, again, we kind of, is there a value follower is the number one question we always ask. And so we'll get to that in a minute. But really, when you're talking about strategy specifically for 2026, let's talk about the first round general strategy for this year. As you know, outside of Jeremiah Love, who is, I will just say, if there is absolutely 0% chance you should ever take anybody besides Jeremiah Love in this year's rookie class, unless you are playing in a league format where he's basically worthless from a production standpoint. He is the unquestioned clear 101. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Period. Take Jeremiah Love. He is the surest thing that you can do in drafting him in a rookie draft. Trust me. But generally in the first round this year, wide receivers are going to be king. Why? Because we've looked at all 3 position groups besides wide receivers so far in this evaluation. Tight ends. Ugh. Running backs. Woof. Quarterbacks. Woof.
You're looking at probably at least half of the first round being a wide receivers this year.
I would say so. I mean, we can even just count them. The 3 guys up top, Concepcion and Cooper, and then Boston.
Yep.
And who knows? I mean, somebody could easily sneak in there as well. You add in the other non-skill or non-wide receiver guys, Mendoza, maybe Simpson, Sadiq, and you still have 3 spots. You're probably going to be
maybe Stowers.
Yeah. There's probably still going to be 1 or 2 more wide receivers. So you're talking about probably more than half of the first round this year. Wide receiver is going to be king. Fact of the matter is, as we've said pretty much all along, outside of Love, the wide receivers are the bright spot in this class. It's not necessarily we've covered this at length, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse here. But with the wide receiver position, it's not like there are any studly studs up top. We have no purple tier guys in the bakery, so to say. There's no Neighbors. There's no Marvin Harrison Jr. Those guys could end up being good. There's no Chase. There's no Justin Jefferson. We don't have those guys this year. The top 3 guys in Tyson, Lemon, and Tate are very good. I don't think they're going to be superstar break into the first round of Dynasty startups their first year type guys. It's possible that one of them is. I think Tyson has that ceiling. Outside of that, I really don't think it's going to happen. And honestly, the other thing to consider here is with the first round, there's not going to be any more than 2 safe running backs this year. I mean, you're talking Love is obviously safe, maybe Price, but even if you're basically trying to figure out, are you going to have more than 1 running back drafted in the first 2 rounds this year? Because if you have a second round running back, you're probably going to have a decent selection there. But even then, any of these running backs besides Love that were selected in the second round this year would be very weak second round running back prospects. Because again, the strength of the class at the running back position is low this year. And so because of that, maybe if we think it's going to be Price, maybe it's Coleman. A lot of people want to say Mike Washington, but again, what we're going to do a little bit differently this year is we're not going to, I personally won't. I'm sure you're there with me as well. Third round running backs are not created equally to second round running backs. In fact, there is a large tier drop off there.
Huge.
And we got absolutely burnt. And again,
we found that with our running back research video that we did with the yards per reception stuff a few weeks ago.
And learn from our mistakes. Like again, we're happy to put our L's in the screen because we take plenty of them. But the nice thing about you watching us kind of divulge through our Dynasty process is you can see where there are inconsistencies and where there are holes. And I think last year, a hole that we had was just saying, okay, third round running backs, you should be treating them as sure things. And in reality, there aren't. And in a weak running back class, it doesn't change. And so keep that in mind when you're talking about running backs this year. Also, first round, don't overvalue the QBs. Mendoza, again, I love Fernando Mendoza. I love him. Watch the draft stream on Thursday. I love Fernando Mendoza.
Gonna shed some tears.
I know.
So proud of my boy.
It's going to be a beautiful moment. I'm not taking him above the top 3 wide receivers this year. And so be careful. Be careful not to overvalue Ty Simpson if he goes in the first as well. And you'll be good. But that's general strategy for the first round. And second round, we've kind of already talked about a lot.
Yeah. Second round's really unique this year because, again, the depth of the class is not only in question, it's just not good. So honestly, again, we've recommended this on a lot of blueprints for a lot of you guys. But if you have, especially mid to late seconds, I mean, early seconds, we're telling you guys to move off of those 2, but mid to late sell them if you haven't already, up tier or get a proven player. If you can package some of these seconds, I mean, we just sold the 202 for Travis Travis Hunter, you're not getting a prospect even remotely close to a Travis Hunter in this year's draft. You're just not. And again,
go play in the street. If you want to comment that he's going to play cornerback, play in the street. Go play ball in the middle of the road, in the middle of the highway.
You're not finding a prospect near as close to that level prospect in that range. And again, if you don't like him and you don't believe in him because of the cornerback stuff, but insert Jaden Higgins. You're not finding someone who is close, analytically close to Jaden Higgins in the early to mid-second round in this year's class. You're just not. And those are the types of moves that you can make at the moment. Look, early day 2 wide receivers and tight ends, if you do end up stuck with one of these picks, or who you are most likely going to have to take in the early to mid-second round here especially, you're really looking at guys like Surratt, Chris Bell, Jeremy Bernard, maybe a Chris Brazel, Eli Stowers is a guy that we've talked about. I will say this, I didn't even have this in the notes. This is just what I've come to find pretty much every single year, whether it's a deep class or not a deep class. Whoever you think is going to be in the range that you really, really like, let's say that in the early second round, you're like, oh, I really like this player who I know is going to be there. Odds are, if he actually goes where you think he's going to go in the NFL draft, he's going to be a riser, because the guys that you think are going to be going above him, a couple of them are going to fall. That's just the reality. So whoever you really like, who you really think is going to be in the early second, insert Eli Stowers, has a pretty decent chance of potentially being a late first selection instead of being available in the early second like you're hoping. And again, if you were to bet on that happening in any class, this would be the one where I'd say, yeah, that's probably going to happen. Again, we've gone through the analytics and the hit rates for day 2 wide receivers, second round wide receivers. The draft capital is a lot sexier than the hit rates. It just is. And as much as we like some of these guys as prospects and as fans of Elijah Surratt, IU fans, of Jeremy Bernard and just how he plays, he's a lot of fun to watch. And of, some of the other guys in that range, like it just, the reality is it's not pretty. And when you can get a proven veteran player, especially as a contending team, if you have a second round pick, in my opinion, it's a no-brainer this year that you should be moving that pick for a Devontae Adams or a Derrick Henry or even a Wan'Dale Robinson, a Michael Pittman, something like that. Someone who you know is going to contribute to your flex spot production rather than somebody who literally might not even be on the field to start the year. So again, I know we've been downers on the second round quite a bit in this year's class, and it still is going to be interesting to see who ends up going there, especially I think the day 3 running backs landing spots are really going to indicate who's going to be the best shot to take in the mid-second most likely there, because those are where the day 3 running backs are going to fall. Hey, maybe Heidenreich will go in the 3rd round. That would be the guy we sell our souls for this year.
I mean, that's the one guy I like. So
yeah, but all that to say, it's going to be tough. The 3rd and 4th round is even uglier.
Yeah, I was going to say 3rd and 4th round, like the general strategy here is, we tell you to sell seconds and thirds, and a lot of you will say, well, I can't sell them in my league, there's no value attached to them. Then you're SOL, because again, like it's price dependent, and if you can't sell them, then don't sell them. Like, we're not telling you to sell them at all, like give them away for free. And
we get it a couple days before the draft. Like, if you can't do this, it's okay.
If you play in a domain league, you're probably not moving these picks, to be honest with you. You're probably just going to have to stick and pick and take your best analytical shots there.
Probably too late.
I said the A word. I should not have said that. Sorry. Your best gut feeling shots there. 3rd and 4th round general strategy here is take running backs and tight ends. Do not take a quarterback, and do not take wide receivers. Running backs and tight ends have the best hit rates in this round, especially tight ends. Actually, I would pretty much exclusively take tight ends in the 3rd and 4th round of rookie draft. So there's a little bit of a tidbit for you there. And if you look back historically at rookie draft ADP, those tight ends have gained ADP, dynasty startup value ADP, more than any other position by a pretty large margin.
Yep.
So they are the best bets in 3rd and 4th, because they're always either one injury away from having a significant role in an NFL offense, or they're just the starter out of nowhere come training camp, which that's happened as well before. But in general, when you are drafting this year, especially, do not trade down this year. Trading up is not as bad of an idea this year as it normally is, but generally I would like to not trade up either. And so people are like, okay, if I can't trade down and I can't trade up, what do I actually do? You either have traded your pick already and you don't trade them for a proven productive player, or if you have to choose between one, I am going to trade up. So trading down this year is bad, and why is that? Because there's a significant tier drop-off from the 101 to the 102 and 104 tier. You're going from Jeremiah Love, you're going to need a haul on top of the 102 through 104. A haul. Because it is a large dynasty startup tier drop-off. You're talking about going from the late first in dynasty startups to the late second. The 103 goes in the early mid-third. The 104 goes in the mid-fourth of dynasty startups. The first to the fourth is a huge value drop. And that's a tier. Again, like, there's a pretty big discrepancy between where 102 and 104 has been going in this year's Dynasty Startups. And in reality, I'm not actually sure why we would heavily prefer the 102 over the 104. When the fact of the matter is, I think it's going to be a tier, and the whole point of a tier is you're getting a value equivalent or upside equivalent player at the 104 that you would be getting at the 102. And so regardless of that, though, trading down this year is bad because each tier you go to, the tier drop-offs are very, very steep this year, and then the cliff happens. I think there will be some okay shots in the mid-first, weaker than normal, obviously, much weaker. Really, when you get to the late first, early second, you're done for if you're drafting there. And so, like, a lot of times we would tell you, data says to trade down from like the 110, 111 to the 201, 202. Last year, it worked like a charm. This year, it's not happening.
Yeah, this is a very unique year. So.
It's very unique. And so, again, I'm very stick and pick this year compared to how I have been in other years. The draft strategy has to be fluid and it has to be ever changing with the strengths and weaknesses of whatever class you're evaluating. And this year, again, trading down, you have to get so much on top to trade down this year for it to be worth it. But I don't think you're actually going to get realistic returns. I don't think the prices that we're going to say you need this to trade from the 103 to the 108, I don't think you're going to get those prices this year, truthfully, because you'd need a lot. And because, again, these picks are more spread out in startup drafts than they have been in recent years. You have 1 to 2 round drops every pick. The 112 is going in the 10th this year.
Yeah.
Last year, the 112 was going in the 8th round. And so these picks have just spread out and the drops are huge. Trading down, you have to be really careful doing that. You should capitalize on league mates who think the depth of this class is no worse than any other. Because there are people who, for the sake of being a contrarian, want to say this class is, everybody says this about every class, either the best class or the worst class. And the fact of the matter is, no, it's not. It's not always the best class or the worst class. We've covered 4 classes now, and we've not said any of the 3 classes we've covered have been the best class we've ever covered. And this one, we're not saying it's the worst. It's definitely bottom tier, but it's not the worst. And so for people who are just being contrarian and saying, okay, this class is actually fine, I don't know what people are overreacting about, there's plenty of good shots, okay, sell them your picks. Yeah. If they want to drink the Kool-Aid, sell them the picks. Because they're lying to themselves, and I don't know, maybe they invested in too many 26 picks, so they are chugging copium, when in reality, this is a weak draft class. And so if you have league mates that are saying, I don't know what people are freaking out about, it's a fine class, they're plenty good, fine, take my pick.
I draft. I think in stronger classes where everybody knows that it's going to be a strong class, like 2027, we're not going to see like absolute steals when it comes to who you're getting in exchange for that 27. This year, the gap between the trades that go down in one league versus another for some of these 26 firsts are legitimately night and day. And it is it's so case by case. Mm-hmm. It really is. And it depends on what league you're in. I can't tell you how many times in the same day, I'll see the 102 go for Ashton Genty and I'll see the 102 go for Garrett Wilson. Like it's legitimately, you're looking at like almost a 2-round gap in valuation, depending on what league you're playing in. And you got to have the pulse on that if you want to get some big value wins here, because that is the one benefit to a weak class, is the ability to play a market, or to play the market in general with a weak rookie class. I think you have a big advantage here if you do have a pulse on that market in your league economy. So
yeah, and again, people want to talk about, in domain drafts it's different than every other draft, and in domain leagues you're going to be drafting this player and he's going somewhere else. You pretty much have to have a source of truth. It really, when you're talking about drafting rookie drafts in your league this year, we can only tell you so much. It's so league dependent this year. You're just going to have to be a sharp Dynasty player and kind of navigate through this yourself, because we can't put out 3 different videos, one for the worst possible league evaluating rookie picks, one that's in the middle, and one that's everybody's an expert and nobody values these picks and blah, blah, blah. Like, we get you play in a competitive league, but there are so many different types of leagues. You have to know your league. Knowing your league is going to shape your entire rookie draft strategy here. This year more than any year, it's less general and more specific. What's happening in your league? What do your league mates think of this draft class? What do they think of this rookie and this rookie pick? And can you make a move, or is it worth just holding? Because you are going to have to hold if you're playing again in a domain league where everybody hates the picks. You might end up having to hold. We've drafted plenty of late firsts this year because everybody that we draft with that's in our community hates picks because we said it's a bad class, which is fine. But at the same time, that's an example of just knowing your league. Know your league. And again, people, I said this, but what is your source of truth? You just have to kind of find resources you trust as to where these picks should actually be valued. Mm-hmm. Because in terms of where they're valued according to the market is all the frick over the place. Fun fact for you, pretty much every independent Dynasty ADP source outside of Domain has picks lower than what our community has them at. And our community's low on them. You guys are going to have to, find out what these players are worth to you, where you think they should be valued in Dynasty startups, and trade accordingly. Because otherwise, you're going to end up burning yourself if you try to take this general advice like, oh, this is what the 105 is going to be in every league. The 105 is all over the place right now, all over the place. Know your league mates, take advantage, and know they're my guys. Again, this is where you can sell picks on the clock because so-and-so, Casey Concepcion, went to the 49ers, and Casey's a my guy, and the 49ers are the landing spot, and I'm going to overpay now for a 106 pick that has a guy in it this year that has a lower hit rate than what most guys in any other draft class would be going at the 106. It's a lower probability of hitting, but he's a my guy. And the problem is this. I don't want to get too far into the weeds in this discussion, and I honestly don't want to say the analytics word a whole lot because I know I'm going to get killed for it. But the difference...
Just leave it to me. I already said it like 5 times.
I know. The difference between guys who use numbers, I'm not even going to say it, who use numbers and data versus guys who watch film. Guys who use numbers and data are saying, hey, as much as I want to evaluate these prospects from a film standpoint, this is objective. Try to look at this objective data that we've gathered, and let's try to identify trends. You know what people who are film guys are saying? I know better than you. I know better than all of you. Trust me because I know. Like, those are the two approaches that you can have. And so again,
which I mean, some of them do,
and some of them do know better. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, a lot of them don't, and we don't claim to. That's why we use numbers so much, is because we want to try to be as objective as possible. We don't want and again, it fails. I mean, it fails. Caleb Johnson, it fails.
The league uses analytics as well.
That's exactly right.
You
got to keep that in mind. Film, so let's go through our value faller chart here that we go through every single year. We're going to give you on the tool for free, which you can find in the comments below.
Yeah, very, very simple, but super duper helpful, I think, when you're on the clock, especially. Can you just ask yourself these very basic questions? Is there a value faller, right? If we know that value is king, and we know that's what we want to prioritize, do I, when I'm on the pick or on the clock at the 106, do I have a value faller? Did one of the guys that's going in the tier of the 102 to the 104 fall to me at the 106? Automatically, yes, there's a value faller. I take him. That's if there's one value faller. We have seen many drafts where there are multiple value fallers. If you look at if you're looking at a situation where you have multiple value fallers, let's say you're at the 105 and Tyson and Mekhi Lemon are both available there at that pick, then you can go team need. You can go with whatever position your roster needs the most, whether you're a rebuild, reload, contend, it doesn't really matter. Like you can go with the wide receiver in that scenario. You can go with the running back if that's your big team need as a contender and you have the 105. Let's say that Jadarian Price goes in the early second round in the NFL draft. He is going to be going in the top 5 picks of your dynasty rookie drafts, and if he's available there, and in the tier below where he usually goes, then you can take him over the wide receiver that's a value faller there in that range as well. If there is not a value faller, again, this is when you can start looking at team need immediately, right? This is a scenario where you immediately go from, okay, no value faller, I can look at team need. What is my team need? And I think this is the biggest thing that we're going to be looking at here, and it does depend on kind of your archetype and your contention outlook. Are you a contending team that's a standard enhanced or elite value team? Do you want to go for insulation or do you want to go for production? Because those are really the two things that you're looking at when you're looking at guys within a tier. If you want insulation, for example, as a reloading team, then you, by all means, go ahead and take Fernando Mendoza at the 105. He's going to be the first overall pick in the NFL draft, heavy investment for an NFL franchise. He's going to sit this year so that he can develop behind Kirk Cousins, and he's going to be in a Clint Kubiak offense with Ashton Gency at running back and Brock Bowers as essentially his wide receiver 1. That's a pretty dang good situation. One of the better situations that I can see a first overall quarterback selection going into, heading into his rookie season. Like, that's really, really solid. If you want to go insulation, that's I have no issue with that whatsoever. And again, on the value faller side, if you have multiple value fallers and you have to pick between the guy that you think you need more between those value fallers, that's when you can kind of decide, right, if you want to go with the insulation or production route. We have a nice little handy dandy chart here that has all of our value archetypes that we've focused on this season, the elite value, enhanced value, standard, future, 1-year reload, aging value, and hard rebuild. I mean, just working our way down the chart here, like if you're in that contending range from from standard and enhanced and elite, like you're going to be looking for production generally for the most part. There are some occasions where like a standard value team, which is again going to be respectably above expected value in any given league economy, but maybe they have a couple of holes in their roster. Maybe the hole in their roster is insulation. Maybe they're flexing Devontae Adams and Derrick Henry, which is great. You have tons of high production upside there. Maybe you need to supplement that with some insulation in your draft. Maybe you need to take the shot on the safe wide receiver rather than the guy who you think might have higher production upside, but is going to be a lot more boom bust potentially this season and could be a guy that falls down boards a lot, and the hit rates there analytically aren't super high. I think once you get to like the 1 year rebuild or the reloading range, you are focusing primarily on insulation, right? You're just trying to build value wins, trying to build up assets that you know are going to be safer long-term shots that you want to take, who you know are going to maintain their value, not set you back an additional year, right? A future value in a 1 year reload team is looking to contend within 12 months. And with that being the case, like if you want to get some guys that you can build around, insulation is going to be the shot that you're going to want to take there. Aging value is definitely the most unique archetype here because this is one where you really could go for one or the other. And I would totally understand because again, an aging value team is one that has so much production right now and so little long-term insulation that they just need to go for it one more year. And then they're probably going to be heading into a reload, if not a rebuild, the following season. Those are the teams that have like the CMCs, the Saquons, the JTs, and they don't have any firsts in 2027, right? That's going to be one where it's like, hey, honestly, if you have a first in 2026 and you want to take the insulation shot to kind of supplement all that high level production, I totally respect it. If you are like, I got to take all the production I can get here because I'm heading into a rebuild after this, then go ahead and go for the highest production upside pick where you're selecting there. And then hard rebuild, again, is going to be very similar to future value and 1 year reload where you're looking at insulation.
And then based off of those value archetypes, our roster archetype can also tell you, and what your roster archetype is for your team, can also tell you which positions to draft or to focus on in your Dynasty rookie drafts. For example, wide receiver factories, we're generally going to recommend you go quarterback, running back, or tight end within a tier when you have the option, right? It's a wide receiver heavy team. Most of the time with those types of teams, unless you're an elite value wide receiver factory, we're going to recommend you spread your value out a little bit. Well-rounded. We're typically going to say well-rounded teams go for running back, wide receiver, or tight end and not go for quarterback there. Running back heavy, kind of the same thing. We're going to go quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, and we're going to leave running back alone. We already have the running back, the proven running backs on our team. Player deficient, almost always running back and wide receiver. Those are the guys that have the best chance of increasing in value a lot. Those are the guys you need on a player deficient roster. So you're almost always going to draft running back and wide receiver.
And a caveat to that is, again, if you're in the later rounds, take shots on those tight ends.
Dual elite QB. Running back, wide receiver, tight end. Again, we have elite quarterbacks. Some of this is very self-explanatory. Elite QB, tight end, you guessed it. We're going to avoid QB and tight end. We're going to go, again, based on our roster archetype, we're going to get some running back and wide receivers there because that's what we're going to need. So again, based on your value archetype, your roster archetype, which you can derive on your own, you can figure out which route you should go, an insulation route or production route, and then which position you want to take there. But again, knowing your team is probably the most important thing going into rookie drafts because you could draft guys that, even though you could trade them, may not be good fits for your team. And regardless, we say both sides of this, like draft for value first and then team need. And the team need here that we're talking about, again, the quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, it's only if you have the option and it's here. Again, if there's a value faller, the roster archetype thing doesn't even come into play.
Right.
But by giving you this, we're pretty much covering all of our bases, where you're making the decision based on the flow chart. If you get to a point, it's like there are multiple value fallers, or I'm in a tier with multiple different positions, I can take any guy I want. Then you go to the roster archetype and you say, okay, which player does my roster archetype lean towards? And then you can say, okay, this is the player I'm taking. If you got multiple options, pick your favorite. You get to that point. But last thing we need to cover here is trading your 26 rookie picks. And again, I mentioned this earlier, but every league is so different right now. The leagues that love rookie picks, they do exist. There are leagues that like these rookie picks. Leagues that aren't plugged in enough to know anything about them, and then leagues where it's like, oh, rookie picks, I won't touch them with a 39.5-foot pole. Okay, so generally, what are we saying about these? When you're trading your 26 rookie picks, again, what is your source of truth? Depending on if your league's super low or super high on them, what's your source of truth? You get to pick whether it's, I don't know, because market values are all over the place. we can tell you where we value these picks independent of where everybody else values them. Because when we rank these picks against players, we're ranking them based on where we think they should be ranked based on where they're going in startup drafts. And so again, you just have to, if you want to do that for yourself, make your own rankings, plug in picks to your overall rankings, and then figure out where you value these players yourself and figure out if they're overvalued or undervalued based on your own opinions or somebody else's opinions of them. It doesn't matter. But generally with rookie picks, when I'm trading them, I like to equate them to players with startup prices. You know, for example, the 101 this year is a late first-round startup pick. So if I'm pivoting off of the 101 to a proven productive player, which players am I going after? Well, I'm going to go after the players that are going around the 101 in Dynasty startup drafts, okay? So you can equate them to players in startup ranges. You can ask questions, you know, asking people in different communities, even though context is important, even though leagues are different, even though your league market is unique, asking people in a Discord is not a bad idea. We've said this about trades our whole lives, and even though every league is different and no Discord knows your league like you know your league, it is good to get second and third opinions on things. You can ask Nathan and I. We're available around draft time. We're swamped, but we're available for you. You can use a trade calculator as a starting point. You can use a trade calculator as a starting point once you equate them to players in startup ranges. It is not gospel. You can use it as a starting point and go from there. You can use it to figure out if it's in the range of possibilities of fair, not as gospel. That is the trade calculator rule, but you can use them to, you know, kind of see what's what and see if you're even close. Now, here's a little bit of a chart of the current pick prices in Dynasty according to domain ADP. And I'm going to make two little notes here that we're going to put on the screen with this chart. Dynasty Data Lab, for example, they have picks even lower than we do in ADP. The 112 in that ADP is going in the like 11th or 12th round. So in terms of where is domain ADP, and this is based on our ADP, where is domain ADP compared to other sources of ADP? Generally, domain is actually higher on picks than other people in the community, which is insane to say. But I'm looking at like the Dynasty Data Lab and the Keep Trade Cut pick values, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're valuing them even lower than our community, which is insane. Yeah. So with that, Dynasty Data Lab, has picks lower. Keep Trade Cut has picks lower. Where are our picks going in our drafts? Late first for the 101. The 102 has been going in the late second. The 103 in the early mid third. And then the 104, mid-fourth. Again, we talked about this. Late second versus mid-fourth for the 102 versus 104. It's the same tier. Mid-fifth for the 105. Late sixth for the 106. There's a huge drop-off after the 105. So again, 105, people are treating it like it's in its own tier right now. We'll see if that stands, but that's what's happening right now. But again, if you're trading these picks, these are the startup equivalents right now. 107's in the early 7th, 108's in the late 7th. We get a little bit closer there once we get to these ranges. The 109's in the early 8th. The 110's in the early 9th. See another full round. Mid-9th for the 111, and then the 112 is an early 10th round startup pick. Those are current pick prices. You can look at ADP sources, and you can see which players go around those picks in Dynasty startup drafts, and you can use those to evaluate trades using proven players and using existing rookie picks. 27 first, obviously adding those back when you're moving back. That's not a bad idea. You just have to make sure you're getting the right value. But regardless, that's how you should be approaching trading your Dynasty rookie picks. Is you should be treating them as startup assets, and you should be equating them to players that are already in Dynasty startups that, for example, are going around the pick that you're trading away or trading for. Okay? And so that's our general rule for trading rookie picks. Again, it's obviously league dependent. Everything is league dependent. We know that. This year, I think rookie draft strategy this year generally is so hard because, again, there really are two factors. Every league is so different this year. It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. But also all of the general statistics and analytics that we lean on for hit rates and things like that for Dynasty rookie drafts are pretty much out the window because the class is so weak. Yep. So it's like, in a normal year, yes, if you draft a wide receiver and picks 105 through 107, they're going to hit at an X% rate. Well, that's great, but the quality of wide receiver you're getting there this year versus last year has dramatically decreased, and so those hit rates are not one-to-one.
Because again, those factor in the weak and the strong classes. So on a weaker class, not an average class, you're going to be looking at those hit rates being generally a lot lower, and those fall-offs probably happening a lot earlier. So
either way, this is the most fun time of the year. Your league mates are about to get active. We're going to help navigate you through all of this. We have the draft stream Thursday night, starting at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. We will see you there. It is going to be a blast. We're going to have Paul from Pure Potential, Ryan Bread, creator of the bakery, is going to be here as well. Our entire team is going to be in studio. Nathan and I are going to be here in Indianapolis. Obviously, we're going to be talking about every pick in real time, pick by pick, defensive players, offensive players, dynasty rankings, all of it. And again, if you want to come join the community, it's the best time to join the community. You can check it out at the link below. We've also got the tool down there for free down below, so go check that out. All you have to do is make an account with code domain, nothing else. No credit card, no money, nothing. We're giving it to you for nothing. Please utilize it. Please enjoy it, of course, and have some darn fun drafting in your rookie drafts, because this is what it's all about. And the next time that we see you, well, technically the next time we see you will be tonight on the live stream. After that, the next time you'll see a video from us will be Friday. We will do a first round reaction video when we release it Friday morning, so make sure you're ready for that. It's the best time of the year, ladies and gentlemen. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll see you tonight for the live stream. Have a great day.